Good morning. Take two. Let me tell you, I got up before the sun came up and I got my lighting. I literally, y'all, am upstairs in my hallway. And now the sun's coming up. I don't know what's going to happen with the light. I did the recording. Some weeks I just feel like it was just not good. And then some weeks I feel like the Holy Spirit just leads me perfectly. Maybe it's just that I listen a little better. I don't know. So I did it and I thought, man, I think this is a wrap. And then not one thing recorded. And I'm going to tell y'all the struggle is real with this stuff. Anyway, anytime you think about me, just pray. Don't think, don't waste a thought. Just pray for me. Okay. So I'm going to try this. So what happens when I put my notes up? For some reason, the recording went away. So you may see me check it every now and then. Oh, anyway. Okay. So I believe one of the most dangerous areas in Barra County for car accidents is right here in front of Struggleville Farms. And I do not say that lightly. So you go out of my driveway, you take a left, a few feet down is a two-way stop. It's Bowman Mill Road, and Highway 82 crosses over Bowman Mill Road. As a little girl till present, literally present, last night, laying in the bed, I see the flashing lights. I look out my window and I raise up and look out my window and see the flashing lights. And my husband says, probably another accident. There are accidents, always have been, all the time. And I have seen many cars in the creek. There on two sides of the road is a big drop, and there's a creek on both sides. I've seen them on both sides, setting up, sideways, upside down. For a little girl, that's pretty traumatic. There have been a lot of deaths. Anyway, many accidents. And we have a great sheriff right now who is trying to do everything he can, but he can only do so much. We have put speed bumps. Since 316 is on the other end down there, a lot of people, even more traffic drives through. They've put speed bumps on our road. Did flashing stop signs. I see police cars up there all the time trying to catch them going down Highway 82. On Highway 82, the state has to approve it, and that's where we're having a hard time. So, most recent accident was I heard an accident, and sometimes I can't go down there, but when I hear it, if I can, I'll go down there just to make sure everybody's okay, and to make sure that none of our fences are needing mending or whatever else. So I went down there a couple of months ago, and because it sounded like a bad one, and I saw the two vehicles. You could see that they were in the wreck, and the people were out and they were fine and calling whoever they needed to call. So no damage that I saw. So I went home. Didn't even say anything to my mom about it. Lo and behold, what I didn't see, because I didn't pull all the way around in the front, there is a van who has knocked the brick wall completely down and setting in my dad's store. So, I mean, it's something like that all the time. It's sad. And it's dangerous. So, and I'll tell you something else. So, my own little sweet daughter-in-law has been hit there when she and Levi were dating in high school. I was hit there, rear-ended I had my light on to turn, and a lady never hit her brakes. Sun was coming up, never hit her brakes, 65 miles an hour, and she hit me, rear-ended me and my baby, Anna, at the time. And also on that side note, I want to tell you, do not, just women talking here, I wouldn't take your kids or your grandkids to school in their pajamas. I wouldn't wear your turquoise rubber shoes that still have cow poop on them. I might try to throw on a little bit of makeup or something. Because, I had three children, two of them in preschool and then a baby, and that's what I did that morning. Of course, that's what happened. And because such a horrific wreck had happened there before, I was literally pushed, just 2 days ago, before I got rear-ended, I was pushed in the ashes of that wreck. And if that tells you how bad it was. And everybody in the county came out, and I'm not kidding. I'm talking the sheriff, the police, the fire chief, everybody. and saw me in my beautiful glory that I was in my pajamas and cow shoes and whatever else. But so that was just a little tidbit there for women. But all that being said, this was such an interesting story about Europe. And you've seen on TV how crazy they used to drive and how just, I mean, they were crazier than we were at the time. So civil and traffic engineers over the world have tried any number of interesting methods to get traffic to slow down. And I just named some of them. The flashing lights, the speed bumps, you know, signs that say slow down, children at play, and they've just been different levels of success. European traffic calming began as a grassroots movement in 1960. Angry residents, listen about this, of a Dutch city turned their streets into what they call Woonhof, or it means living yards. So how this works, what once were channels for fast movement of cars became shared areas outfitted with tables, benches, sandboxes, and parking bays, just jolting in the street a little bit. The effect was to turn the street into an obstacle course for motor vehicles and that was an extension of the home residence. I think that's so cool. I want to try it here. So Woonhof, because of the success of these angry residents, was officially endorsed by the Dutch government in 1976. Over the next decade, the idea spread to many countries. Laws and regulations were changed to permit Woonhof designs in Germany, Sweden, Denmark, England, France, Japan, Israel, Australia, and Switzerland. Why not America? Why not Struggleville? But anyway, by 1990, there were more than 3,500 shared streets in the Netherlands and Germany, 300 of these streets like that in Japan, and 600 in Israel. The twists and turns, plus the brick pavement, and then areas that were raised higher, brought motorists down to walking speeds, around average of 10 miles an hour. What? I can only imagine these guys flying up and down this road and their reaction, their angry reaction, if they were flying down there and hit a couch or hit a sandbox. Man, that is some crazy roadblocks to slow them down. Ever felt like God has thrown all kind of manner of crazy roadblocks in your way as you are zooming toward your desired destination at your desired speed? Any manner of roadblocks could be illness, financial distress, broken relationships, a sick grandchild, or things that can slow us down or sometimes stop us in our tracks. That's what happened with Mary and Martha. You read and finished the study, so you're already familiar with the central idea that God gave me in John 11:4, and I tried to make it pretty, and then I said, I just like getting to the point. God's timing is better than ours. I mean, it's just that simple. First section, verses 1 through 16. Mary and Martha thought that Jesus would come quickly because he loved them. The sisters sent this word to Jesus, is what verse 3 says. Jesus, the one who you love, is ill. And then 2 verses down, John explains in verse 5, now Jesus loved Martha and her sister Lazarus. So when he heard that Lazarus was ill, he came right away. And we know that's not what it says. But that makes sense. It seems like that's what it should say, but what it says, verse 5, let's read it again. Now, Jesus loved Martha and her sister Lazarus. So when he heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed 2 days longer in the place that he was. Now, ladies, I know of times in my own life when I thought I gave up. I told him that I gave up. My faith was just gone. I remember telling him that. But it wasn't really. I still had a little bit because I was still talking to him. I had to still believe he was God. But that's how I felt. And I know you and some of your testimony, it's not even comparison to some things I've went through. I know some of you have been struggling with an illness for a long time. And worse yet, I know some of you have been struggling with watching your child or your grandchild struggle with an illness, with pain, with your spouse, with somebody you love, and you just wish God would let it be you and not them. We have to trust that He loves us as He loved Lazarus. God's timing is better than ours. So just hold with me. Don't get mad at me yet. As we move on to 2, and I'm going to check my camera real quick. Yay, it is still recording. Keep recording. Okay. 2. God's Son was glorified because of His infinite timing. Verse 17 through 34. So, it is now God's time for Jesus to come. Of course, the disciples say, are you crazy? You're going to get killed. But anyway, He goes because it's His timing. It's His timing for Him to go. God goes, and it looks like they are so glad He came, but it appears to be a little too late, Jesus. And they tell Him just that. And what is so cool, Jesus knows what is fixing to happen. He knows that they're fixing to be over and beyond joyous. He knows Lazarus is going to be all right in the end. He knows that they're going to be happy in the end. But He still weeps when He sees their pain. He's not a fake crier, y'all. The shortest verse in the Bible is one of the most beautiful love stories ever. Didn't I say that last week about the story in 10? And I've said it other times, but Jesus wept, knowing what was fixed to happen. So He weeps with them, and then He turns and He goes to the grave, and He calls Lazarus' his name with a loud voice. Lazarus, come forth. And that is that. It is now obvious the power that Jesus has. He has the power over death. How do you think their faces looked when they saw Lazarus coming out of that grave? What do you think they did? And Lazarus Still Rises, a book written by Barbara Cornelius. Yes, our own Barbara Cornelius, who is in our CBS class. She says, and under one of her chapter titles, let Christ surprise the world through His work in you. Will you let Him do that? That's what happened here. And it says, many believed and He was glorified. When your name, you think about when your name is called out. If you're busy and somebody calls your name out with a loud voice, Deneen, my head raises up. I look up, trying to see who's calling me. Sometimes He can surprise us, and we look up and we see Him right there. Let me tell you something. That short verse about Him weeping, that should let you know that He sees you. He knows when you are hurting. He knows when you are anxious. He binds up the wounded. He is near to the brokenhearted. He weeps with you, even though He knows that your name is going to be called out, and you're going to be at peace. You're going to be in awe. You're going to be so happy, and He will be glorified, and the peace will come over you. His timing is best. 3, Jesus knew, verses 45 through 57, that His time for His own death was fast approaching. Now it seems that the Jewish leaders would be more focused and more in awe and more excited about that Jesus just raised a man from the dead. 4 days being dead. than they were excited and focused on the concern of their own political positions being threatened if Jesus comes forth. And they all justified it with concern for the nation that this man must be killed. And us spiritual leaders that we are must be the ones to do it. Does any of that make any sense whatsoever? Except for the fact it was God's will. But it doesn't. It really, to the human eye, does not make sense. Are you experiencing something that just does not make any sense? I know it seems everybody's in the uproar about our country and things that they don't think make any sense. Jesus knows firsthand as a man about things like that. Does he not? He knows about suffering. He knows about timing. He knows about the pain as a human. He knows about the hurt, the loneliness, and even questioned God on the cross, why have you forsaken me, in the hardest time of his life? But God's timing, he conquered death. He was glorified, and many, 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 I just wonder how many, have believed and been saved from an eternal damnation because of God's purpose in Jesus' suffering. God's timing is best, and it always serves his purpose. And when we're created for his purpose, and when we fulfill that, we're fulfilled. As hard as the suffering may seem, there is always glory at the end when it's for the Lord. When you trust him, I want to ask you, will you choose to do that? Will you choose to trust him through the things that hurt, that make you anxious, and sometimes do not make sense to the human eye? Will you choose to trust him and his timing? I want to close in a song written by Jenny Owens. I put the words because the words is why I'm singing it, not because of anything I can sing. It's written by Jenny Owens. Jenny was born with poor eyesight, and by the early age of 3 was declared blind. Her sight did not get better as she got older, it got worse. She went to college. You can look her up. Look her on, I think, is it Wikipedia? Just read a little bit about her and what she, excuse me. So Jeannie is blind. She went to college, music education degree, had these big, exciting goals. You know, she's blind and she is a musician, and it's awesome. When she got out, she couldn't get hired anywhere. She said she felt like apparently at that time people were just not willing to take a blind teacher or to trust that a blind teacher could teach music. So I don't know. She had a rough time, of course. And these words that she wrote, the music and the words, are absolutely beautiful. My prayer is that you'll think about her and her suffering. Think about you if you're going through some suffering, and then Christ in his suffering. The pathway is broken. The signs are unclear, and I don't know the reason why you brought me here. But just because you love me the way that you do, I'm gonna walk through the valley if you want me to. No, I'm not who I was when I took my first step, and I'm clinging to that promise. You're not through with me yet. So if all of these trials bring me closer to you, then I'll walk through the fire if you want me to. It may not be the way I would have chosen when you lead me through a world that's not my home. but you never said it would be easy. You only said I'd never go alone. So when the whole world turns against me and I'm all by myself, and I can't hear you answer my cries for help, I'll remember the suffering that your love put you through, and I'll walk through the darkness if you want me to. And then this last verse, the short last verse, she added, after the song was put out for production, and I think she sung it first, you can look that up too live. She introduced that verse live, and it is a beautiful thing that she declared. And I pray you declare it too. Think of her blindness, and what she is declaring will be in the end. Because when I cross over Jordan, I'm gonna sing, I'm gonna shout, I'm gonna look into your eyes and see you never let me down. So take me on the pathway that leads me home to you. And I'll walk through the valley if you want me to. Yes, I'll walk through the valley if you want me to. Oh, Father, what a beautiful sight. I think of Beth. I think of us. I think of me when I get there and I look in your eyes. Man, Jeannie being blind, saying when I look in your eyes. God, when we look in your eyes and whatever suffering we might have went through, we look in your eyes and see you never let us down. I pray, God, that if there is a lady listening to this morning, she is going through some things, or she has been hurt watching things happen to people she loves, God, I pray that she will know that there will be a day that you will be glorified. And when you are glorified, we are at peace. We are made whole. I pray that these ladies will trust you and know that your timing is best. In your sweet, precious name, amen. Amen. And I hope you enjoy next week's love story as well.